on the day it was laid. And I like the people who come and buy my eggs. And Vital Farm, I told Vital Farm, I get their eggs, I get Tuesday's eggs delivered on Tuesday, and then I sell them Wednesday morning. And Friday's eggs, I sell Saturday morning. I want eggs laid then. I want them to be real fresh, because there's nothing better than a fresh egg. And there's nothing worse than an old egg. And then there's what you put into the chicken. You must use certified organic feed. You must. I'm sorry. We're so lucky to have it now. There were so many years that we would talk to Callahan's. Can you please do organic feed? We don't want the antibiotics in our eggs. We don't want the hormones and all that stuff, and the arsenic and all that stuff that they used to put in the feed and still do. And now we have to worry about GMO, and nobody knows the real effects of GMO. So certified organic feed, not guaranteed to be GMO free, but it's the best that you have. And no antibiotics and none of that stuff. Because you're going to eat those eggs. Buckmore feed and Callahan's both have, now Callahan's gets it from Buckmore. Buckmore is the distributor for this area. Because he's like a saint, Ken. I mean, he got into this 4 or 5 years ago, organic feed, and took a big risk. And now it's paid off for him because all of us chicken people, we want it. And he gets it from Coyote Creek. And they have the mills right on Elgin. If you go out there, you'll see the mill, Shady Mills. That's one of those Whole Foods investment deals that created that feed mill. It's the first organic feed mill in Texas. And so that's another reason to buy it, to support it, because then it makes eventually more grain people are getting in the business of farming grains, organic grains. That was the problem always. You couldn't find anybody growing organic grains. So now my only problem is they still have to use soy for the protein. And soy is really, kind of gets me. We can't figure out another way to put protein in the feed that's not soy. Of course, if your chickens are free-ranging, it's not such a big deal because they're going to get worms and bugs and all that, and they'll get some protein in the plants they eat also. But it'd be nice to have a feed that was really good laying mash and so forth, that didn't have soy. But that's for later. Uh-huh. Yeah, well, that's a problem. That was a problem for me at first. In fact, the first feed I got from Buckmore was the Pennsylvania pellets, laying pellets, because my chickens had always eaten Callahan's pellets, and they didn't like them. That was an interesting thing. They really didn't like it. So I'm getting scratch from Callahan and the pellets from Callahan, and the chickens would always want the scratch. Well, of course, it's corn, it's sweet, sugar. But they didn't like the pellets. When I got the Pennsylvania pellets from Buckmore, they ate that like it was great. It was astonishing. So they liked the fact it didn't have the antibiotic taste, I guess, or whatever. It didn't have the chemical taste. They knew, the chickens knew. So Ken said, now, I've got this stuff that's coming from, Coyote Creek. And so I said, well, I'll get the scratch, but I don't know if my chickens are going to eat that powder. It seems like you'd waste a lot. He said, well, you do waste some. And so I thought, well, okay, I'll do it. Because Coyote Creek is doing such a good job and I want to support them, and I didn't like the fact that my feed had come from Pennsylvania, Let's have some Texas feed. So I put it in there. They eat it, but they do waste a lot. But they pick out the part that has all the corn in it, and then the dust is left. Well, I was standing at Callahan's one day, and this is kind of a truism, because, if you don't put that corn back in there, they're going to eat that powder. It's kind of hard. You have to turn away because they're clamoring at you. Bring on the sugar. We want the sugar. No, you can't have the sugar. You got to eat that soy powder, whatever it is. And so if you don't give them any more, they will eat that. It's kind of tough love. I was at Callahan's one day, and because Buckmore, I couldn't get to Buckmore and all this, so I wanted some organic feed. So they had Buckmore's Coyote Creek feed, so I got it, and I'm standing in line, and this guy's standing there, and he says to the owner, he says, well, what should I get? Should I get this organic feed or this other feed, the commercial feed? And the owner says, well, the organic feed doesn't have antibiotics, it doesn't have arsenic in it, doesn't have chemicals in it, no herbicides, no pesticides, no chemical synthetic fertilizers, no GMOs. And then here's the commercial feed, and it has all of that. And he said, it really doesn't matter. Whatever you want. They'll eat it. If there's nothing else to eat, they'll eat whatever it is. And I told the owner walked away and I said, "You really want all that in your body?" He said, I said, "My chickens really don't like that stuff." He said, "Well, mine are going to eat it or nothing." Oh, okay. Whatever. Have a good day. So that's the mindset. It didn't matter. The price was the deal. And of course, it's expensive. The organic feed is probably 3 times the cost of the conventional. But if you've got 6 chickens, so you spend $30 a month and give them the best. You're worth it. You're going to eat the eggs. Just keep that in mind. Yes. No, you just got to get the organic feed. It don't matter what it's like. You got to get it. The commercial feed has all of the above things in it. It's horrible. Yes, sir. They don't seem to have any problem knowing what to eat outside. They know. Even if they weren't raised by a hen, they have an instinct and they know that you shouldn't eat poison ivy or something like that. And so they'll eat the stuff. In fact, I think that if you're ever, I say this in that article, if you're ever hiking somewhere, you ought to take, strange place and you're all by yourself, you ought to take your head chicken with you. And, because if you get lost, she'll show you what to eat. Because she won't eat anything poisonous. And so then she'll lay an egg for you and then you'll be saved. Yeah, definitely. In fact, when the boss chicks were still living in the kitchen, I made a little ring for them with chicken wire stuff, and any day like this, I'd put them out there when they had their real feathers, not when they're still their little fuzz, but when they have their feathers. Then they're protected. They've still got down underneath them, but got that to keep the wind off and all that. Then you can put them out, and that's about one month. Other than I would wait until about that age, depending on what's going on. If it's summertime, you got a little fuzzy chick, you can put the fuzzy chick outside. Oh, I know. We always have one of those. Yeah, I had one named Onesie. Only had one eye. One named Toesie's in there now. I have to hand feed her. There's something happens to them at some point. And one of the boss chicks, I call her, instead of the babe, I call her Babette because she's just smaller than the rest. And they're like people. There's some people here that aren't as big as the other people, and maybe some people that had some problems in life and it took them a while to mature and all that. It's just the same. I don't know what you can do. Is just make sure that she's eating. And if she's eating, well then, she's just going to be a smaller chicken when she grows up, maybe smaller eggs. But one thing related to that is how do you move populations together? For instance, you've got your chickens and they're just doing great. They got all their territory staked out, and then somebody gives you a couple of chickens, and this happens to me all the time. I'm really trying to give away 3 roosters, though. I don't need anything else. I don't need any old hens, please. It's not a retirement home officially. But somebody brought up and said, "Oh, I can't keep these anymore. It's Dorothy and Lucille, God, we got to move, and I can't move them and all that stuff." Well, I don't give them a lecture, of course, but even though they are, they do have a character flaw. But so I've got to take those 2 chickens and get them into that group. Now, one way you can do it is to put them in a cage inside the hen house and let everybody get used to looking at them. You better put kind of a roof over them, though, because everybody's going to get on top of the cage and then poop on them. But everybody's going to want their feed, of course, too. So, move the feed bowl in the middle of the cage because they'll be pecking it out through the sides. But let them get used to them that way for about a week. And then the best thing to do is put the new ones on the perch at night when everybody's comatose and blind and everything. Put them up there, and then in the morning when they wake up, it's a new day. And they'll think, "Oh, you're here? I thought you were down there. Oh, okay. I'll peck you once and it'll be over." And generally they will be the immigrants. You know what this country has done to immigrants. The Irish were bashed terribly and so forth.